Good afternoon, everyone out there. This is Arjax. I'm an experienced tank. I've tanked all 5 of the World of Warcraft tanking classes, level 90, almost exclusively through running random dungeons, so I'm very familiar with the majority of the dungeons in WoW. When I started out looking to tank dungeons, I was initially intimidated by the fact of never tanking the dungeons. I ran them as DPS, which as you guys know, you just follow the tank around and start dealing out damage. Well, it was a new experience for me as tanking, and my first tank was a warrior, which at level 15 doesn't have any AoE, and ran into my first dungeon and scraped by. Luckily we had good healers and good DPS, and they were willing to help me through there. So ultimately I decided that I'd go back and go over all the low level dungeons and set up a tanking guide for them, and this is the first dungeon that I'm doing and my first video, so bear with me. I hope you guys enjoy, and looking forward to comments below. I don't know the best way to run every dungeon. I'm not going to pretend like I do, so if I miss something or if there's something I could do better, please comment below and I'll redo the video and include that tidbit of information in there. Thank you. So this dungeon was a little bit sketchy. The hunter was aggroing stuff, so I had to continue pulling it back off from him, as you saw there, and there wasn't really any pulling all the stuff together. And as you can see there, as a noob, I just missed the jump and had to swim all the way back and redo it. I make it on my second attempt, just barely. I don't know why it was so hard for me. I haven't had that much trouble since the first time I ran this dungeon, which was years ago. As you can see, the hunter is already picking up ads, and for me, I don't necessarily appreciate that, but it certainly made the run go a little bit quicker. I'm in full BOAs, so no harm, no foul. The healer isn't, the hunter is, so we're dealing pretty decent damage. So as you can see here, the hunter's running ahead of me. Normally I like to be the first one there. He aggroes them, which isn't ideal. I was able to charge in, turn him around so that the boss is facing the back, so that everybody gets better hit percentages on the boss. Here I'm just checking to see where I'm going next and lining it up for once this guy is downed, which isn't going to be that long, to run all the quests for everybody involved in the dungeon group. Since I'm running in full BOA, I'm not really too concerned with any of the drops. My gear actually isn't that good besides the BOA, but I don't really have any luck in this dungeon in picking up any gear, as you can see throughout it. So, just finished clearing up those ads. We're going to go attack the boss. Again, you're probably going to see me charge here. There I was. And I turned the boss to the back of the group so that they get a better hit on it, just like in the previous video. Also, for melee classes like the rogue, they do more damage if they're hitting from behind. So it's always nice to turn the boss facing backwards towards the group. So even though those are a massive upgrade for me, I'm not going to need on them because it's not for my class. So I let the hunter, he needed on them, and much better use of the gear. Right here you see a little glitch in the game. I'm going to fall in the water. I don't know what that is. It's been there for a while now, and I just don't think that the developers of the game really care or think it adds anything or takes anything away from the game. And I would tend to agree with that. You see me here briefly checking the map. You'll see me do that frequently throughout all my dungeons. It's not because I don't know where I'm going, it's just so that I don't miss a step and don't end up taking us in the wrong direction. Which, you know, it doesn't matter how many times I run a dungeon, sometimes I'll apparently veer off and go in the wrong direction. So, as a tank, the most important thing is holding aggro, and you'll see me tab through the guys and make sure that I'm holding aggro. I do that simply by pressing tab. It was told to me about like 3 months after I began tanking, and they were complaining about me holding the aggro, and I was making rather small pulls. Well, they're like, tab's your best friend, and I was like, what do you mean tab's your best friend? What are you talking about? And they're like, you can tab through all the abs in the area just by pressing tab. And I wish I'd known that from my beginning of my tanking days. It definitely helps out, as you can see here. And the hunter is continuing to pull, which, you know, kind of irritates me. I don't say anything about it because, you know, we're not in any kind of danger of wiping or pulling beyond my capabilities and the healer's capabilities. So in order to keep the peace in the dungeon, and as you can see by my damage meter down in the bottom right, he is the top DPS in the game, and normally in low level dungeons the tank is doing 40 to 50% of the damage in my experience, and I'm just kind of glad to have somebody there that's doing more damage than me. So I let it go and continue on. These ads are rather easy, and but you gotta watch out for the ghost ones. I just missed one there. I didn't aggro him, so he's actually attacking the rogue, and I just pick him up there. I'm kind of disappointed in that. I didn't see it when I was playing through, but that is definitely something that's in these, is these kind of ghost-like people that you don't see until you hit, that aggro on you. And so I need to do a better job of keeping my attention on them. So I picked that guy up, and I realized that that's really not a big enough pull, and I just keep hitting them and running with. And I turned around and I saw these guys over in the corner that I missed. The hunter must have pulled them. Don't really know where they came from. So I go back and I pick up the aggro on them and continue to deal damage until they're dead. Most of the time I'll turn around and start running to speed it up, but I didn't that time. As you can see with my camera pans, I'm looking for the next ads to pick up and where I'm going. I don't really think that's necessary to do, but I try to keep going and keep the dungeon going as fast as possible. I swing over here and I pick up these guys. You can actually skip these ads The hunter pulled the other group, so I'm going to run over here and try to pick them up. I just taunted her, and now we got a pretty decent pull for this dungeon. It's only 4 ads, but for all the same, it's better. I like to pull more ads than this and get them together so that my AoE is doing more damage and we can progress faster. But there really isn't that opportunity here. Going into this boss, there's a bunch of ads, and I hit the first one, I run past, and then I hit 2 of them. And I'm going to try to pull as many of them as possible. But it's kind of hard because the hunter is pulling them also. So I got to make sure that they're not running back there. So I go ahead and I taunt him and charge him. We're going to pull them together here. The boss got aggroed. I'm not exactly sure how the boss got aggroed there. I didn't see it. I'd speculate that the hunter pulled him. If you're not running full BOAs, it's probably not best to do that pull. I've wiped here before with that happening on accident. Actually, on my first dungeon, I didn't realize that there was a boss in the room. But, you know, I'm in full BOA, the healer's doing well, so, you know, it was really of no consequence. You also complete one of your quests there. That axe isn't going to do me any good, so I just agreed on it. So unbeknownst to me, for about a year I ran this dungeon and I never knew that there was actually another boss down here. It's not necessary to complete the dungeon, but as we're leveling, or as I'm leveling through running dungeons, it doesn't make any sense for me to skip them. So, and you know, I thought it'd be kind of nice to show you guys. this boss that I never knew existed. So you got to fight down through here, and you can actually no, that's not him, that's just another ad, but you'll be able to see him. There you go. The second one in the background that I'm going to pull right now, I just taunted him towards me. This is another boss, and he drops boss loot as well as giving extra EXP. So, you know, not necessary to the dungeon, but it doesn't hurt to pick him up. Just thought I'd let you guys know that he's actually here. He's rather easy to kill, and yeah, just adds more. So you're going to see up here that one of the DPS gets killed. He's obviously not with the group. I don't really know where he's at. And he waits for a res, but nobody knows where he's at. So in a few minutes you'll actually notice that we kick him. And apparently him and the rogue were running this together. So the rogue drops, and we actually end up finishing the dungeon with just myself, the hunter, and the healer, which, as you can see, isn't going to really be an issue, as between myself and the hunter we're producing 70% of the DPS. So you'll see that the hunter is actually getting really annoyed by the shadow priest and the rogue. They're dying. The rogue is off somewhere else, and the priest isn't anywhere near us. I don't really know what's going on with them, but they should be staying with the group. Yeah. So I do the best I can here with pulling everybody together. You see it's only us three. And I just decided to go ahead and pull the boss. It wasn't, you know, this boss is pretty easy. You know, I figured that they'll catch up by the end of it. They don't. And we end up kicking the Shadow Priest, who's dead again. No idea how he died or why he died. But nonetheless, he's dead. Like I said, this boss was pretty easy. Although I am running in full bind on account, all heirlooms, so take that for what it is. I remember running this on my first tune without having any sort of heirloom gear, and it definitely wasn't easy. As you can see with my map pull-up, you can see that the rogue is running in, and no idea what happened with the Shadow Priest. So the rogue gets up here, and I'm just kind of checking out the Shadow Priest, trying to find out what's going on with them. So the healer says he's going to go back and res. I'm pulling out my mass res button. As you can see, the Hunter is very annoyed at this point. So I actually didn't even vote to kick him. I was going to ask where he is. So we queue up to find another person. The rogue decides to drop. Apparently, in my speculation, they were probably running in together. I mean, they're from the same server and all. So here, you know, it's typically best just to light one of these and let them come. But, yeah, I know that we can handle it, so I lit all four. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of AoE, so I'm trying to pick these up as best I can. You saw me get my second one off. I almost have everything. I have him left. I taunted him off the healer, and now we're just gonna kill him. It's nothing really all that big or that hard, so that is what it is. So we just took down those. This door is going to open up. You'll see that there's ads over there to the left. You don't need to pick it up. If you want the XP, you're more than welcome to. We're on our way to the last boss. I'm just pulling them with me as I go to speed things up. There's really no need to focus on these too much. They're not that hard of ads to kill. So we're going to finish these up and pull the boss here. I'm on my way to the last boss. There's one ad. I'm going to hit him. I probably should have pulled the boss there at the same time. But I didn't. The boss pulled itself. Like I said before, swinging the boss around so that the hunter has better hit chance on him. And we're just going to down him here. It's very straightforward, very easy. There's no mechanics that I know of with this guy. And if there is, obviously you can ignore them because I do. So this is something that nobody does. I teleport out of the dungeon and back in right here just by right-clicking on the dungeon finder so that I can turn in the quests and end the dungeon a lot sooner. See, I'm already back at the beginning. I just go and turn these in, and that's everything, you guys. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed this. Any questions or comments, please click below. If you like the video, like it. You can subscribe. There's going to be many more of these coming out. Thank you. Have a great day. Arjax out.